All right, so could privacy coins be facing their end? We'll be looking at all that along with some of the assets that might be going in place of. There's a lot happening around this. I think obviously many of you have already kind of looked at this, but it is going to be one to really kind of dive into. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Bath. Let's get into it today. Of course, we do want to thank our sponsor. That's iTrust Capital. When you're looking at long-term holding of traditional crypto assets, iTrust is a great place to do it in the form of a crypto IRA. These are some of the most efficient tools that I've found in looking at long-term strategies in terms of investing, but also what makes it very unique is, of course, its tax implications. As we near the end of 2022, this may be another place for you guys to take a look and say, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here, defer some taxes, and of course, take advantage of what you can do with a crypto IRA. So of course, if you want to do that, make sure and click the link below. They have a great program, very low fees for trading and absolutely no fees to get involved in it on a monthly basis. So it's a really great product. And if you do fund your program with iTrust Capital, you get a $100 funding reward. So that's another big benefit of obviously using our link. So make sure and do that. Check it out. Let's dive into the topic today, and that is privacy coins, because privacy coins are and have been around the ecosystem of crypto for quite some time to a certain extent. One thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of is what they are, and we'll kind of break that down for some of you that maybe are new to crypto, or maybe you're looking at some privacy coins and you've been in crypto for quite some time and looking at for different reasons. There are some functions within privacy coins that are real and they're very beneficial, and they also are something that I think are questionable at the same time, in the sense of that you have to use a system like privacy coins to be able to do these kind of things. For example, privacy coins are cryptocurrencies that can obscure transaction information on the blockchain. As you guys know, let me zoom in on that for you guys a little bit. As you guys know, if you're on the blockchain, everything is wide open. It's not like your bank account where nobody can see what you're doing in terms of transactions if they know your bank account number. All of that is hidden and protected, but in the blockchain, that is wide open. The demand for privacy blockchain is largely pushed by companies, as retail cryptocurrency users care less about privacy. I would disagree with the retail user side, because I think people do care about privacy. They just don't really understand the implications of what this could be in the future. Companies, on the other hand, this is a big deal because of the fact that if a company is utilizing cryptocurrencies to pay vendors, to pay employees, to pay service providers, or even things like rent, all those kind of things can be traced back to a wallet in a traditional blockchain, and then hence you lose maybe a competitive advantage for being able to hire developers, being able to do all those kind of things that you would normally keep private as a corporation or an entity, which pushes you back to the fiat system. And that, as we all know, has its problems. So I do understand why companies could and want to use it, especially around these kinds of things. The other thing that is involved in this is it's decentralized, it's anonymous, fully anonymous. It does pose a big problem, though, for government agencies fighting against financial crime. Now, remember, the biggest financial crime vehicle is still fiat, will be. There's trillions of dollars that are being utilized in money laundering, all those kind of things that we fight against on the AML side, and also in the structure, and especially around the ecosystem. But remember, that industry has had almost 4 decades to really kind of craft its art. And it is one that is going to continue, I think, in the fiat side of things more so than in the crypto side of things, which is really why I don't understand why we haven't seen governments really rushing to regulation around crypto, because of the openness of what blockchain represents, even from a taxation standpoint. People are going to start figuring this out pretty soon. Now, when you look at some of the companies that are dealing with what's happening within the privacy coin ecosystem, usually it's based on the exchanges in which you can gain access to these coins. So here's a good example. Huobi, of course, is set now to delist Monero, which is one of the biggest, along with other privacy coins, citing regulatory pressures. And the point behind this, and I'll show you guys here in a second of why this is happening, but right here it is. You've got Dash, Decred, which is DCR, Firo, Monero XMR, Verge, which is XVG, and then ZCash. We've had the ZCash guys on our show before, and then Horizen Zen coming in. All of those will be delisted on September 19th, so just a few days away. This will be gone, and it really is to keep up with efforts to meet compliance policies of more than 100 different countries in which its services are available. And I also think that this is a big one for the United States, because when you look at what they're doing in terms of expansion, U.S. expansion for Huobi is one step closer, and it did secure a FinCEN license. So meaning it can operate here in the U.S., which will open itself up to a lot of U.S. retail customers in the way in which we're seeing a lot of major volume come through these. And if you look at what they're kind of talking about here, Hong Kong listed Huobi, of course, said Tuesday the license creates a foundation for it to carry out crypto-related business in the U.S. in the future as part of its strategic goals, obviously for globalization and compliance. So I think this is going to be a factor that really plays into this in terms of how these tokens will be looked at in the future. They could go the way of what fiat has gone, and that is where crypto, like fiat, has a dark art to it of how to do those kinds of things for businesses. Where it loses a big problem, I think, for the blockchain is for more corporations to adopt crypto. And the reasons for is because we don't necessarily see the privacy solutions out there that can protect corporations and other individuals from exposing all of their transactions on the blockchain. I think that will be a deterrent for enterprise entities that going forward could have utilized a privacy coin. I think there will be some solutions out there that eventually will do this, which will eliminate it. But at that point, I think most of those will be regulated, obviously, much like the banking industry is regulated in terms of privacy within your banking system. So there's a lot yet to happen around this. But if you look at, I think, the future of where this is going, it's going to be interesting to watch around what tokens will go away, or will they be pushed to the underground markets, or to just alternative ways in which people will utilize these tool sets. If you look at Monero right now, currently, this is just the last 7 days, so they've actually had a pump up from 142 all the way up here to right at 159. And again, I think this is one of those things where there is so much interest in these tokens for a variety of reasons that are non-illicit, that are not doing anything bad. They're just utilizing it as a payment tool, or as a funding tool, or as a movement tool for transactions to eliminate the openness that we see within the blockchain. Here, of course, is ZCash, also up over the last 7 days, even though this is kind of alignment with this last recent pump that we've had that kind of flows into this. And then last right here is Dash, also almost like a mirror, Dash running in. Let's see what they're doing here. That was down at a low of around 42 over the local, and then hovering in right around 47. So again, I think this is going to be a scenario that we'll continue to see throughout. Now, the question you guys are asking, should I get and invest in or hold privacy coins? I think it's a risk right now. It's an undue risk, unfortunately, if you're a traditional crypto investor. Maybe you're brand new to crypto investing. If you're more advanced and you understand what's going on and what this means for your business, then there's other ways to go about this. I anticipate that most likely we will see some sort of technology that starts to create AI wallet entity management. And when that starts to occur, I think it will get to a point where it's going to become very difficult to trace down transactions. Not necessarily like a mixer, which is where everybody kind of throws it all into one and then it pops out on the other side, much like money laundering. I think those things will go away, like Tornado Cash. Obviously, what we saw with AECs, which, by the way, I'll jump into that to kind of give you an example of what was being done, and then also how they were able to trace it down, which I thought was very intriguing. I've got a video of this. Let me kind of play this video real quickly, because it shows you not only the function, but also some of the tool sets that were used to kind of trace this down. Let me play this for you.
And that's what we'll see them do next. They hit another mixer. So there's a lot of Bitcoin mixers out there. This mixer was also sanctioned by US government. So we now have 3 sanctions tied to these funds, plus the fact that they're labeled as stolen funds across every crypto business out there. They then try to cash them out. The whole goal is to cash out stolen funds. You want to buy some
Let me kind of pause there. So what was happening here with the AEC, the Ronin hack, was they were moving along the dollars out in, or the hack, and they were trying to get this into mixers and then be able to eventually get those stolen funds cashed out. Further in the video here, let me go to this one right here.
Some additional tactics leveraged lately. With the sanctioning of the mixers, it's made it harder for them to move funds through mixers. So now we're seeing a lot of movement across blockchains. So we call this chain hopping. So
all right, so this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of AI wallet integrations in the future. Chain hopping is another way in which they can do this, moving transactions around, trying to essentially, and this is being done right now in the fiat system, probably more effectively even so than blockchain. So again, these are the bad guys, okay? But there's also traditional needs for that privacy aspect within enterprises and things of that nature, which right now, to date, we don't have a real frontline solution for that because blockchain has been wide open and there has been a large amount of usage of these privacy tokens. So further back into this video, let me keep on going here because they kind of explain how the Ronin hack worked, what they were trying to do to move the money, and why these sanctions are occurring in all these different places around Tornado Cash, and eventually I think will be privacy coins as well. Let me come back to this video.
Fund movement has been astounding in particular because in part the focus on the community, they've gone through extra lengths to try to obfuscate these funds and cash them out. On the far left, you have the Ronin bridge, the funds, and then the hacker that was the wallet, the original wallet of the hacker.
So this right here to me is the perfect. Let's cut back to the video and we can do the voiceover a second. So what you're looking at here on screen is the actual trace within the blockchain. And to me, this is the reason that blockchain is in essence one of the most powerful tools ever given to legislators, authorities, regulators, tax people, you name it. This starts to identify every transaction, its sourcing, all those kind of things. So we are going to see some very innovative ways, most likely. Chain hopping is a very rudimentary model right now that I think will get amplified by the use of AI more and more. Further into this video, they kind of show how this spans out, just to show you visually how this goes from here. Let me go back to this video.
Distinct addresses to
So look at
launder
it
these
fly.
funds as of now.
I mean, this essentially is where
very sophisticated hacking enterprise. The funds are moving rapid fire through over 12,000 distinct wallets.
12,000 wallets right there. 12,000 wallets that were transacting on this. Now that's being done probably by, a baseline amount of AI movement or some machine learning and some general, algorithms that are initiating these transactions and running this as a bot, basically a bot farm. This, I think, is just the beginning. Now, this is being done, again, in the fiat side of things, probably even more sophisticated because they've had so long to do it. This is one of the things that I think blockchain does represent overall as a financial system, that it could become one of the more dangerous places in terms of moving monetary systems. What I do believe will need to happen is the cybercrime units in the future that we'll be seeing, especially around the financial crime system, FinCEN and many others. I think we're going to need to see a lot more ramp up on this because the technology, much like what it was with the internet, the technology is advancing so quickly and moving. The difference here is it's talking about moving value and moving monetary systems. So I think it's going to be interesting to see all this in play. I think most of our regulators have just now, to a certain extent, got their hands around fiat. And now we have a new game in town, and that represents a challenge overall. So I do think privacy coins will be starting to see their end days, but it is only a small 1 or 2 steps away from probably really creating either online systems, which will be some sort of trace analysis, again, much more advanced than what we're seeing even today within blockchain. Crackdown on popular crypto mixer could have huge implications for privacy coins. This, of course, is talking about Tornado Cash and why it matters. But there's just a relist of some of the things, ZCash, Monero, etc., that are going there. But this was on August 8th. The U.S. Treasury Department blacklisted a piece of computer code. First time it's ever been done. Normally, they're blacklisting people, entities, enterprises. This was a piece of computer code known as Tornado Cash that enables users to anonymize their crypto transactions. While the U.S. government didn't punish privacy coins directly, it placed restrictions on the type of blockchain technology that makes them possible. So it's essentially going to the underlying technology of where this can go. So there's obviously a ton to unpack here. They get into the Office of Foreign Assets, which is OFAC, which normally places restrictions. If you go to the OFAC list, you can kind of see all of these different entities. It's the first time this is a piece of software that is entered into the OFAC list. So it's kind of interesting to watch. Intriguing at the very least. I think it's going to be a question for us to watch in the near future. The future of privacy coins are very uncertain right now, I think, after the Tornado Cash ban. And I think we'll continue to see this happening, especially in the G7. And the reason for that is because there is a lot of regulation, but also financial crime units within those G7 that operate mostly within the Western world, meaning most of the world of fiat. The problem is this is starting to branch out into the outside of the Western world, in which most of our financial crime units don't operate. So it's much like going into the third world, whether it's South America or Africa or other areas. I hate to say third world, emerging countries that don't necessarily have that in place yet. And a lot of this is happening there. So there are problems with this. With any kind of new technology comes the underbelly of it. And it is one that I think we'll need to watch for sure. What I would do and recommend for you guys right now, obviously, is to just take a look and be cautious if you're going to use a privacy coin. Make sure that it is obviously for a well-documented reason. It's something that you could substantiate at some point down the future. Or if it's just something like that, then I would get in and start insulating your wallets. If you're an enterprise or a business, insulate your wallets, have wallets for, maybe employees, insulate wallets over here for vendors, another wallet over here. So people would have to really work hard to try to figure out your business model and understand your cost of doing business and eventually be able to compete against you. But I think those are some of the strategies that people will do, especially in the enterprise side, especially as we go to open blockchain. Whether you're moving Bitcoin or using something like USDC or Tether or any other stable coin out there for sure. But I think at the end of the day, these things will start to slowly get further and further away from real world activities and become more of a black market kind of scenario. And that is unfortunate, I think, in the long term, because it does change, it does change kind of the function of where this might be going. Last was Coinbase backs Tornado Cash users as they now sue the Department of Treasury for this. So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes, because I think when we get into the fact that you had, and there are people that had maybe cash, legitimate entities, legitimate enterprises that have cash in these kind of solutions, and there was no warning for them. So it was almost like saying you just eliminated something that was a trusted source and didn't even give us a warning for us to be able to move our cash out of these things. Those are the kind of things I think that are going to be very interesting. The way the suit read, it says, this was the District Court of Texas. Plaintiffs are suing the authorities over 3 courts. Tornado Cash cannot be added to the specifically designated nationals (SDN) list by the Department of Treasury. This is because it doesn't meet the definition of a property, a foreign country, or a national thereof, nor a person, which is what I got back to when it was a piece of code. And the department had designated 44 Tornado Cash smart contract addresses to its SDN list. And again, the decision violates the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Tornado Cash allows users to importantly socially valuable speech. This is through transactions, potentially controversial political and social causes, which is another reason people use privacy. I mean, if you think about it, if people knew that you were submitting, funding to certain political areas, who knows what that could be, or other social activities. Who knows how that could be looked at and researched at some point in the future. And I think those are some of the things that are real. And it's going to be very interesting for sure. Coinbase Effect is actively bankrolling the lawsuit. Brian Armstrong, CEO of cryptocurrency platform, obviously wrote in a blog spot saying organization is backing the lawsuit. And I think this is going to be one that we'll see moving into the mainstream now for the first time, and really kind of opening up to where people understand what's happening, not only with Tornado Cash and what mixers can do, but also just the solution of a private blockchain transaction tool, and that being some of these privacy coins. So caution out there for sure, but always be on the open and be constantly researching this stuff, because this is something that will apply to, I think, the future of digital payments and digital solutions, store of value. All that's coming down the pipe for sure. All right, so you guys are listening in over on the podcast side of things right now. Make sure and tune over here to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Also, grab a few videos, like them if you like them. And it does help you, one, get us into your feed. The algorithm starts to work that way on YouTube. But better yet, it does help us understand what you do like. And that could be breakdowns like this, interviews where we do trading analysis, some of our sentiment data from our own crypto power index. Like those videos. Tell me the ones you like, because that's a good way. And of course, leave comments. That's always another way. We read all the comments, of course, except the spam bots, which there are massive, which, by the way, I will not WhatsApp you. I will not ask you to send me anything. And I will not be sending you anything that looks like hieroglyphics within those. Those are clearly spam. I'm sure if you're watching our channel, you're aware well of this. You're aware of it. So it's a big issue out there on YouTube right now. We're trying to fight it, so just try to stay safe out there on all those kind of scenarios. Same thing with Twitter, so be careful. All right, if you guys want to hit me up on Twitter, it is a really easy address. It's just @PaulBaron. That's simple. Not weird names after or before, just @PaulBaron. That's me. Follow me out there, and we'll catch you next time right here on TechBath.